YouTube, Shinobi here with a review of the Power Rangers Super Megaforce Action Heroes Wave 3, which is the start of the Legendary Ranger Action Heroes. So this is a wave of 8 figures that is comprised of Mighty Morphin Red, Mighty Morphin Green, Dino Thunder Red, SPD Red, Mystic Force Red, Samurai Red, Megaforce Red, and Megaforce Robo Knight. So a nice little mix. The entire Legendary Action Hero line, it basically consists of all Red Rangers and 6 Rangers. Unfortunately, not all of the 6 Rangers are going to get made. There's a fairly decent number announced right now, but all of the Reds are getting made, and a nice little majority of the 6 Rangers. So as per normal, they are the same price as all the other figures, about $8.59 at Target, I think right now, up to $11.99 at Amazon.com, depending on where you pick them up. So happy hunting. I think, in terms of retailers, I think they've only been seen at Target as of this review. So happy hunting. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with Mighty Morphin Red. So after owning about 5 billion different versions of the Mighty Morphin Red Ranger, this guy is actually kind of lackluster. The only real thing it's got going for is the fact that it's in scale with the Super Megaforce figures, so they look nice on some sort of legendary Red Ranger display or something like that. That's really about the only benefit of this guy. He's not bad by any means. It's just the fact that my collection's so overpopulated with MMPR Red that I just don't really care. But the base body is fine. I'm getting used to the whole shoulder setup. It's kind of weird looking shoulders. But it is what it is. Just going over the articulation for one of the figures, since they're all pretty much the same. Got a rotation up here. Pin and swivel right there. Single joint at the elbow. Swivel at the cuff of the gauntlet. Glove, there we go. Swivel at the hip right there. Single joint at the knee. And a swivel at the cuff of the boot. That is really it. As you notice, his blade blaster is on this side. It's supposed to be on this side. That is really stupid, I think. It's not like the mold only had a hole on one side. The Rangers have different holes on different sides, depending on which side it's supposed to be. So this guy's just all sorts of wrong. That's unfortunate, I think, but it is what it is. If it bothers you a lot, just have him holding the blade blaster. That's really all I got to say on the matter. But again, I really wish he's had waist articulation. That's really my only complaint on these figures. But he's not bad. I just think with so many Red Rangers, it's hard to really to get excited for this guy. So he can hold both of his weapons just fine, and he can actually look kind of cool. So here's the guy that everyone loves to hate now, Tommy. This is in no way the greatest Tommy figure we've ever had. That still goes to, besides the figure art of Dragon Ranger, going to the Super Legends release. But his armor is just very sagging, and it looks kind of attached to him, which it is. But it extrudes down here, and it's just really strange. I don't know what it is exactly on why they did that, but I don't know. It is what it is. His Dragon Dagger is made in gold, same color as his shield. It can detach and be held like so. And there you have it. The Morpher is gold. There's no stripe on his helmet. So despite what that picture on Morphin Madness site showed, it does not have those features on it. If you want to get one and paint it like that, go right ahead. It's a Super Megaforce Tommy. But this one is more accurate to Mighty Morphin. And it again, the same thing applies with Mighty Morphin Red. I just have so much of him, I just don't really care. Now, being I didn't start collecting until around SPD, some of these figures are actually really cool to me because I don't actually have the original versions of them, and Dino Thunder is one of them. And it's not a bad figure. Like I said, it's the same base molding on all of these, but it looks pretty nice. They did a great job of the diamonds along the edge here, with the only differences in them being where the swivel joint is. I guess I couldn't paint that. But that is fine. You have the Tyranno faceplate on the Morpher right down here. So that is nice that they paid attention to detail enough for that. And of course the cuffs are all different. The belt's different. They actually did a really nice job of making sure that despite being the same base mold, that their differences are highlighted. So he can hold the gun, I'll just call it the gun because I forgot what it was called, right here, and the Tyranno staff, I think it was, in Dino Thunder, right there. And it's nicely detailed. It's just a big brick of red plastic, but it is nicely detailed, and I like the way the emblem looks on his chest. It actually turned out really nice. So it's cool to own a Dino Thunder Red figure, finally. And overall, really cool. SPD Red is next, and while I have an SPD Red figure, I do really like this one. It ends up looking fairly nice as per normal with these. You got the badge here, the SPD printed fairly nice right there. The one going down the side of his chest, the black arm. The red joint is a little bit of a troublesome thing, but you get used to it after a while. Head sculpt isn't too bad either. SPD is my favorite season, so I'm glad he was in the first wave. It's cool to have an SPD figure out and on my display again. Both of his guns can plug into the side of his belt right there, and of course both can be held. Unfortunately, they do not combine, so he can just basically stand here and be all gangsta. But that's as much as you can do since they cannot combine. You're just sitting there like that. It looks like they could have combined if they put a little bit more effort into it, but it is what it is. That's a really awful pose. I apologize. Now, as much as I love Mystic Force, it's really one of my favorites, this figure just isn't that good. There's a lot of things wrong here, and let's start with the obvious. He doesn't have his cape, and I understand why. They're all the same base figure, and they didn't want to overuse their plastic budget, which is really awful. I'm not even defending that. But the fact that they didn't include like a clip-on cape or something is really awful. The Mystic Force was all about the fact that they had capes. It was their thing. It's what made them stand out against other Rangers. And it's just a shame that he doesn't have that, because it really does ruin the look, I think. But you can make one, I guess. I don't know if I'm going to bother or not. The head sculpt seems a little bit weird, too. They're all using pretty much the same base head with their different details, and I think it flattens out too quickly, I think. I don't know. But it's better than the Ranger keys, at least. So you have the Mystic Staff, I think. And I'm using a bunch of Sentai terms in this video. In the sword mode right here, so that looks really cool. And it comes with the Mystic Morpher, and that's fine. Because it's the phone in the wand mode, and you just plug it into his belt, and that's just not right. That's just really strange. That's not a thing that happens. And can he even hold it right? I don't know. I think you can get his hand open enough to where you can hold it. That's a really tight fit. But he can hold it. It's really weird. This is definitely an accessory that is getting tossed to the side. He can keep his sword, but the Morpher can go. I don't really like that. But aside from the weird wand Morpher mode attached to his belt and the lack of cape, it's not too bad of a figure. But the original Mystic Force figures were definitely a lot better in terms of accuracy for these. And here we have Samurai, which has actually the same thing going for it as Mystic Force. And it's even extra wrong, because you get the Samuraizer in the brush mode, and that never happened in Samurai sans Lauren's Morpher. So this, if this was Lauren, that would be perfectly fine and dandy, but this is Jaden because it's a dude. So this is a completely wrong accessory, which again is just going to get tossed aside. It's accurate. I mean, it's a nice detailed little thing, at least in terms of the molding. It's just red plastic, but that is a completely inaccurate thing. It does include the spin sword, which isn't bad outside the fact it's cast in red. There's nothing in this figure cast in the gold that would be closer to Tommy's shield. So you're stuck with a red spin sword, which isn't awful. It's just a little bit off-putting at first. You might be able to get away with using a spin sword from the 4-inch line. I'm not sure how well those scale. Mine are all packed away right now. I'm not really sure. But this is a dinky enough looking spin sword to where it might actually look okay. But it's not a bad figure. I actually really like it. We never had a samurai figure in this scale. So it's nice that you can have one to pose with some of your older figures, if you would like to. A logo right there, and it does end up looking nice. English, but I really do like the way that the samurai one turned out, despite the weird inclusion of the Shoto phone in the brush mode. And here is Megaforce Red, which has the same pros as the samurai, and the fact that you can pose it with your older figures and have a nice scale going on. And I actually really like this figure. Just like the Super Megaforce ones, it really is like they just took the 4-inch one and upscaled it. But it works really nice. The blaster is very big, so much that it's kind of disproportionate. But it's painted in a nice gold paint, and that looks very nice. The same gold paint runs throughout the Gosei Morpher and the buckle right there. So that looks really nice. The head sculpt is pretty ace. And overall, just an absolutely fantastic figure. I have to hand it to it. I really like this one. And to top it all off, just like the spin sword, you got a red handle and a silver blade. So the weapon is actually nicely painted. And given how little color was on the dragon sword, it actually works really well. In fact, I think it's only missing like a couple pieces of yellow maybe. But it's a nicely painted weapon, and it easily is one of the best figures in this this lineup. I really like it. And finally, we conclude with my winner of the bunch. I love Robo Knight, I love Gosei Knight, and getting a 5-inch scale figure of this guy was very high on my list. I'm really glad he was included in the first wave because I get to own him instantly, and I like that. He does come with the Robo Blaster gun sword mode things. Both modes can plug into his belt, even though that was never a feature of the Robo Blaster. It was just always appeared out of nowhere. So it's an option, but of course you don't need to use it considering it's not accurate. So pick your weapon. I'm going to give him the blaster because the sword can get bent pretty bad, given climate and stuff. So I'm just going to give him the blaster. I really love this. My only complaint is that the Robomorpher can easily get hindered by his little plate right here, and sometimes it will pop off. So you have to kind of watch it there. But other than that, I really love this. The figure art was great, but I've always felt the proportions were a little bit off on the figure art. And the proportions are really nice on this figure. I will hand it to that. Like the Megaforce one before it, it is just a more or less upscaled version of the 4-inch figure that I actually really liked too. So having a 5-inch scale Robo Knight is very great. And I'm really tempted to pick up a second one to have on my desk while he will be on my display. Because I really do love Robo Knight's design. I think it's great. And he was probably my favorite character in Megaforce because he was really interesting and funny. So I really dig this figure, and it's easily my favorite of the bunch. Lots of detail, and it really does work. So at the end of the day, these aren't really that bad of pickups, especially if you can get them for about $8.59 like I did at Target. The issue being is that if you've been collecting Power Ranger figures up to this point for the past 20 years, even the past 10 years, in the past 5 years, I think, you have a lot of these guys in some form or the other. And given the different scalings of all these different lines, you're always going to have a little bit of issues. For instance, despite being labeled as 5 inches, these are more closer to about 4.5 inches, and as such don't really scale and are quite a bit shorter than the RPM releases, which are a little bit different than the Jungle Fury releases, which are a little bit different than the Mystic Force releases, so you're always going to run into that scaling issue. And the nice thing about these is that they all share the same body type, so they are all in scale with each other. And providing everything currently announced gets released, you'll have at least all of the Red Rangers, which will make for a very nice display of every Red Ranger up through Mighty Morphin through Super Megaforce. So with that in mind, they're definitely worth the pickup. The 6 Rangers are pretty much up to your discretion. However, I actually really like the Samurai Megaforce and Robo Knight ones the most. And I wasn't expecting that, given how kind of tired I am of some of these things, especially Samurai. But they're nice, and I really dig the fact that you have a fairly close to 5-inch scale Megaforce and Samurai Red to go with all of your past figures, and it makes it a little bit more affordable for people who don't want to buy completely into this line. And Robo Knight's my favorite figure of the bunch, so I just really, really like him. So that being said, the Red Rangers are worth the pickup if you want to make a nice display. If you already have them, then they're a fairly easy pass, given I feel the original releases are a little bit better in terms of quality, accuracy, and everything of such like that. So it's a your mileage may vary sort of recommendation. If you're going for a full set, I recommend picking them up. But otherwise, just pick and choose the ones that you want. Overall, I do definitely recommend Samurai Megaforce and Robo Knight out of this bunch. They're just really nice figures overall, and I do recommend them. Thanks for watching, take care, and have a great one. Bye.